Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness, what a journey we've been on. We are at week 6 of our chakra journey. And this one is, this bridge now. We've passed the bridge from the manifest to the unmanifest, where we're now moving even further into the upper part of the chakra system or the chakra. Sorry, I can get that refocused in. I don't know why I don't know if it's the color. There we are. The chakra system. So as we've worked through each of the weeks, I hope you've had a moment, whether long, whether really short, just to contemplate a little bit of the attributes in each of the chakras and maybe relate to some of the things within yourself that you've been experimenting with, maybe seeing some imbalances in some of the chakras. Maybe there's little parts of one and little parts of another, and you're starting to see some opportunity to open up to those chakras and really invite this sense of balance, that center part of the body, and they're really kind of tuning in from within. And that brings us now to our 6th chakra, which is our 3rd eye chakra. And in Sanskrit, this chakra means to perceive and to command. And it's located directly in the center of, right between our eyebrows. So right here at that 3rd eye space, you probably have always even just instinctually seen this as your 3rd eye. I know I have just instinctually always thought of it as that space for even before I got into yoga. And it relates to a sense of self-power, self-worth, confidence, and self-esteem and strength. It's represented by the color indigo blue, trying to pay homage to this 6th chakra. I know some of you have some colors in your room and saw them kind of radiating blue. And it is a combination of all the elements. So we talked about fire, water, air, earth. And now we're kind of combining all of those, and it relates to light. It is the intrinsic light that we have within us all, this 6th chakra, this 3rd eye. And when we enter into this space, we enter into a space of undiscernible beauty. It is this space that we really connect from within, and we can see the outer world, but we can also discern that the outer world does not represent who we are at our core, our inner knowing, our inner being. And as you learn to focus your attention with this 3rd chakra, you begin to free yourself from the illusion, and you begin to perceive the ultimate nature of reality. So, you've probably heard gurus or people in spiritual realms say everything's an illusion. It's an illusion. And we're so connected to our physical realm. And but when we start to turn inward, when we start to connect from within, we start to see that the things around us are not what makes us who we are. It doesn't represent us. Oftentimes when back in the day and I was working as a human resources director for a trucking firm and had a big job, and my identity was tied in with that position. So when somebody said, "Who is sharonhillenaar?" I would identify as an HR director. And really, that's not who I am. My title doesn't represent who I am. Even my name doesn't even represent who I am at the core of my being, and nor does it you. And when we think about the gift that this chakra gives us, it is the ability to see the inner and the outer world, and trying to find balance from within, and trying to find balance between the two. And the energy of this chakra allows us to experience clear thought, as well as gifts of spiritual contemplation and self-reflection, which is a really tough process to go through, because turning inward can be a really, really challenging and confronting space, but it's also a place of liberation, a place where we can be true to ourselves and true to our inner being. And that is something that takes time. It takes time to move through this journey, which is what we call in our practice, which is really what yoga is just a practice towards that space, that practice towards tuning inward. And we take the physical practice as that beginning space. We first begin to tune into the body. We first begin that space because that's where our first initial connection is. That's where we connect to the outer world, is that first place where we as humans hold on to, because that's what we know. And then as we go into that journey, we start to explore deeper. And I can tell you, I would be amiss or shocked if none of you were to be able to turn back and honestly say that you aren't curious more than you were when you first started your yoga practice, maybe years ago for some of you. If it didn't automatically bring you into a space of a bit more curiosity, a bit more self-reflection, and that is where the journey is. That's what the journey is. It's about creating that opportunity to turn inward. And that is a really powerful space to be in. And this third eye chakra is also this opportunity to see the light within us all. We all hold this light. And this light is, we're all interconnected. We are all one. And I said that before in practice, but we all have that light. We all have that inner self. We all have that space that we are in this universe one. So it's a pretty powerful practice or chakra, because we really open ourselves up to that light, to that opportunity to see ourselves as a unit and not just as an individual, and just an individual in this space of matter, but rather more than this, a source of energy, a source of connection that arises through energy and arises and supersedes space and time. It's not connected to space or time. It is just there around us. And this might sound a little off, but it really, when we start to look inward and we start to connect in, and we really can see that we're more than just the things that we have. We're more than just the title. We're more than the big house, the nice car, the nice shoes. We're more than just a mom to a child, or a wife to a husband, or a partner to a person. We are the light. And you all, when you come to this class and when you leave this class, you shed your light. And when you shed your light onto someone else. And that light gets soaked up with them, and then they shed their light. And that's the power of yoga. So today I'd like you to find a comfortable space. And I'd like to begin today's practice in meditation. But before we begin, I want to let us set ourselves with a mantra. And I'm going to give you a couple of options to choose from, because not all might, might grab everyone. I want to give you options to choose what feels right for you. And you can choose one completely outside if that feels better. Perhaps one mantra you can use is, I listen to my deepest wisdom. I listen to my deepest wisdom. And the other one, I am wise, intuitive, and connected with my inner guide. I am wise, intuitive, and connected to my inner guide. So let me repeat one more time. I listen to my deepest wisdom. I listen to my deepest wisdom. Or I am wise, intuitive, and connected to my inner guide. When we tune into our intuitive self, we're listening to that voice from within. We're feeling, we're connecting. And too often we disconnect from that space in the hope of pleasing others, in the hope of doing what other people want us to do, or maybe just not listening to what's within and doing what we think we should be doing, but rather than listening to what we should be doing. So let us find a space, and let us relax our shoulders, and let's close our eyes. And let's take a moment here to bring ourselves in the present moment. And I'd like to read you a little blurb from Edgar Tolle, I think. I'm not pronouncing it right. Edgar Tolle is an author, very famous author of several books. And of course, I'm drawing a blank right now. And I've read them all, which is really bad. So I'm sorry about that. But he says, I cannot tell you any spiritual truth that deep within you, you don't already know. All I can do is remind you of what you have forgotten. So earlier in our warm-up, someone said, I have guided you, or I'm because of me. It isn't because of me. It is all within you. I'm just here. I'm just a conduit to help facilitate that. But you are your own guide. So as you're here with your eyes closed, I want you to tune into that bright light. And maybe you see that indigo blue light shining from your heart space. That inner knowing of whatever it is your truth is right now, in this very moment. Remembering that your truth is not based around the things around you or the amount of money in our bank accounts or even the clothes on our backs. Your true self lies within, deep within, that inner wisdom, that inner knowing. As you take this time to settle into your breathing, soften the third eye space between the eyebrows. Maybe with your eyes closed, you start to visualize that space between the forehead, the eyebrows, as a place of deep-seated wisdom, an all-knowing, an all trust and confidence that everything you have or need is within you already. You need not seek the approval of others. You have the approval from within. As you root down, beginning with our Muladhara chakra, that grounding chakra, begin to fill your body quietly and confidently, pressing yourself into the floor with a sense of stability and foundation that is unshakable. Maybe you find a lift in your heart and a pull of the shoulder back and a lengthen through the spine. Firmly grounding yourself here in this space. Finding a quiet from within. Let us begin to deepen the breath in our Ujjayi breath. Breathing in through the nose and constricting the throat as you breathe out. As you continue to breathe out, soften your shoulders. Tune into that third eye space. And if you'd like to, bring your hands in Anjali Mudra, symbolizing balance and unity. Taking our Thumbs up to our third eye space, maybe pressing the thumbs right at that space between the bridge of the nose and the forehead. Maybe visualizing this bright blue light shining from that space. I listen to my deepest wisdom. I am wise, intuitive, and connected with my inner guide. And now I'd like you to cup your hands over your eyes. Visualizing the light that shines from within. Feel that light burning inward. Quiet the shoulders. Tuning into that intuitive self, that all-knowing self. That wise self. And then when you're ready, bring your hands to your chest, one hand on top of the other. Softening the shoulders and tuning into your compassionate, loving self. Soften the eye space between the eyebrows, soften the jaw. Feel the compassion and self-love radiating from your heart. One that sends compassion to yourself, self-love, self-care. Maybe you connect to the beating of your heart. Let's now take our hands down to our hara space. Perhaps right above the belly button, one hand perhaps on top of the other. Relaxing through the upper body. Feeling the breath of life coming into that space. Knowing that we rest here and we ground here. We tune in here. We connect to our intuitive self. And let's come back up to our heart space one more time, bringing one hand on top of the other, back to your heart space, back to your compassionate self-love, self-care. Maybe you feel heat radiating underneath your hands. You can feel the energy rising through the body. And let's bring our hands to our heart, to our eyes one last time. Cupping the eyes, coming back to your bright light. And then let's bring our hands to heart center, back to our third eye. I listen to my deepest wisdom. I am wise, intuitive, and connected to my inner guide. Let us release our hands. Maybe gently open your eyes and create a little movement for the fingers. Maybe your perspective has shifted slightly. Maybe not. Maybe you almost see things with a new sense of wonder. Let us take ourselves onto our tummy. And we're going to meet in crocodile pose today. Hands are going to stack on top of one another. Elbows are going to remain wide. As we rest here with our third eye connected down to the top of the hands, I'd like you to notice the earth beneath you. Today is a practice of turning inward, bringing that conscious awareness, that sense of presence of this very moment. An opportunity of self-exploration. An opportunity to tune into your inner desires. From here, make the shoulders remain soft. Clear your throat. Maybe if your eyes are closed, you can maybe see that blue indigo light behind the eyelids. That light radiating from your crown to your toes. Perhaps you allow yourself a little movement through the pelvis. We began our journey with the earth, and we come back to the earth, connecting down. And as we've journeyed through the last 5 chakras, we've been able to self-explore and to explore different areas, maybe of our life, maybe of our situation. Maybe we've had that opportunity to see things from a different light, perhaps even intuitively connecting to a space that maybe has been a little bit dim, but now it is perhaps a light. When you're ready, let us bring ourselves back towards center, and maybe you remain here. Or if it feels okay, perhaps we make our way into child's pose. With our knees wide, big toes together. And perhaps just for today, we stack our hands in a fist formation with a tower, resting our forehead on this space, releasing our shoulders and releasing our hips and our low back. Easing into this space with no force, but only love, compassion, and care. Tuning into a space of stillness within the mind and a connection into the blue light. And I want you to imagine all the chakras are spinning freely from all the way down to the tailbone to our third eye, spinning freely with this opportunity of exploration, of unblockage, of freedom, moving from manifest to unmanifest, from ground to spiritual. Maybe you take a load off and breathe in deeply and release your body deeper into our stretch, releasing the low back. Perhaps if it feels okay for you, you can release the hands and extend them long and draw them over to the left side of the mat. Coming back to these poses that you've done maybe 100 times in your life, maybe more, maybe thousands of times. But now you come to it with a different perspective, perhaps. Maybe a different sense of awareness. Maybe even from more of an intuitive space. Perhaps we walk our hands towards center and then over to the other side. Maybe there's a certain quality, that certain quality of being able to listen without judgment, without the ego, who's always in survival mode, always looking to try to control environments, to keep us in a space we think we want to go to. And ego's not bad. It's a wonderful resource when we need to be safe, when we need to protect ourselves. But our ego is not our true self. When you're ready, make our way back in towards center. And from here, I'd like you to just decide to either choose to flow or maybe choose to just move and stay in child's pose, whatever feels right for you. From here, either breathing in, rounding through the spine, lengthen out the back, and I'd just like you to hinge forward and hinge back. And as you do, just tune in, release any tension, connect to our inner truth, to our wisdom self. And often our ego is telling us things that are untruths of ourselves, untruths of the situation or our situation. And it's sometimes our intuitive self that knows the reality, but that ego gets in the way. And we listen to the ego and we don't listen to our inner truth, our inner knowing. Maybe if you'd like, you can come into all fours. Set the knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. As you create that foundation, roll the shoulder blades back and let's find ourselves in cat-cow. Breathing in with a sense of keen awareness of all the qualities of the breath, all the textures of the breath. Finding a sense of movement in space that feels liberating and releasing. And it's a very powerful thing when we tune into our inner self. There's a sense of freedom that comes with it because our inner self is never wrong. We all have it within us. We all know that when we've tuned into that space, when we really listened and observed with a keen sense of objectivity, of non-judgment, of non-expectation, the guide from within always takes us where we need to be. The universe knows. Our intuitive self knows. It's where we take ourselves from darkness to lightness. There's a wonderful adage that talks about a young boy walking in the evening and he falls upon a dirt road, and on that dirt road he sees ahead of him in the darkness a coiled up space, a coiled up object on the ground. And he sees this as a large serpent coiled on the ground, ready to attack. And he takes a run and he turns around and he falls and he bangs his head and he creates a big damage on his body. And the people of the town, they come running towards him and they go ahead and they collect him. And he says, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. There's a serpent on the ground. It was going to attack me. And he goes to the hospital and he gets stitched up, only to find out that that serpent was in fact a coiled rope. With knowledge and wisdom, we know the truth. We take ourselves from darkness to lightness. That coiled rope was a perception of something that really wasn't there. That's the ego. When you're ready, go ahead and rest your wrist. Sit back onto your heels. Go ahead and take that stacking of the hands and rest the third eye. Take a moment to repeat perhaps your mantra. I listen to my deepest wisdom. I am wise, intuitive, and connected to my inner truth. As you're ready, let's go ahead and make our way into all fours. And let's swing our legs all the way forward, extending through the legs, reaching long. Maybe we take a moment here today to set ourselves up a little higher, to create space for the low back, to create a little room in the body. From here, reaching with the heels long, the toes reach to the sky. Breathe in, sweep the arms up. Exhale, release down, surrendering to this space. Allowing the head to soften. Allow the shoulders to soften. Allow for a little sense of ease through the back of the body. Surrendering, softening, and releasing. And the ego is like a shield. It's like a really big, heavy shield that we place in front of us. And it blocks us. And when we start to break down that shield, when we start to surrender to what is, we start to offer ourselves an opportunity to connect to our inner light. To be true to ourselves. Not as an act of selfishness. I don't want you to ever think of that, because it is not selfish. Acting from within with an inner truth. From an inner knowing is like acting from a space of divinity. When you're ready, start to roll up through the spine. Roll the shoulder blades back, bring the hands behind you, gently press the tips of the fingers to the floor, lift up through the heart space. Shine your heart space, your Anahata chakra, your Vishuddha chakra, your third eye chakra, Ajna. Find that space expanding, lifting, opening up, surrendering to this energy around us that interconnects us in ways we as humans can't always even manifest in our mind. It's an unseeing connection, but it is there. Our light shines and we shine brighter together. Release your heart space. Go ahead and slide your soles of your feet together, knees wide. Go ahead and shift your weight side to side, finding your sits bones, perhaps finding length through the spine, maybe knowing that this is enough for now. Perhaps if you'd like, go ahead and find a little forward bend. Again, inviting a sense of surrender. In yoga practice, we come to our asana, I think, in my opinion, to connect to the body, to first establish the opportunity to explore our body from a physical sense, to give ourselves permission to do or not to do, to connect from within. And we connect from the outer to turn our attention inward. And just as in our physical practice, when you hear me say, move if you want to, don't move if you don't. Take it or don't take it. Choose options that work best for you. That is you working your intuitive self, knowing what works and what's not working, and maybe making adjustments from the physical realm and not doing something that doesn't work for you just for the sake of pleasing others. Slowly make your way up towards seated. Maybe drawing ourselves in Sukhasana. Breathing in and extending the arms overhead. And I'd like you to interlace the fingers, draw the thumbs together and the pointed fingers, and reach the palms up towards the sky, with the pointed fingers reaching up to that 7th chakra space, that space that we are moving into. That one pointed focus. And then as you're ready, release the hands, twist gently towards the left, resting the right hand onto the left knee, turning your gaze, softening your space, lengthening through your spine. And as I said earlier, we've done these poses hundreds of times together. But each time we come to the pose, we come to it again with a beginner's mind, a new exploration, a new inner knowing, a new awareness. Inhale, come back through center. Bring the palms together, point the fingers, press the thumbs together, lengthen the spine. And exhale, twist towards the other side. Come back through center. Let's go ahead and make our way down to the floor with our knees and towards our chest. And for the next few moments, I'd like you to just explore what feels right here. Let whatever is calling to you to come into your awareness, and please explore this with a sense of curiosity and non-linear movement. Tune into that space within you that intuitively knows what you need. Maybe you keep your knees in towards your chest and just hug yourself tight. Maybe you explore by wiggling your feet, wiggling your toes, opening and closing the legs, or just breathing heavy into the nose and out through the mouth, or in through the nose and out through the nose. Maybe you take your space back, and I've said this before, to your 3 or 4 or 5-year-old self, that space that wasn't connected to the outer world, that space that acted from an intuitive self. Babies come into this world and they act from an intuitive self. They don't get clouded with all the distractions of the outer world. They tune into what their needs are and they ask for their needs to be met. Remind yourself of the wisdom that lies within, the wisdom that is never wrong, because that is your truth. No one else's truth, just yours. When you're ready, go ahead and set both feet down to the floor. Open up the feet wide, and let's gently rock our right knee in and just rest here for a moment, perhaps offering a little low back stretch here. Softening into that space. Go ahead and draw that right leg up and let the left leg drop. And then come back through center. Let's bring the feet in a little closer, maybe drawing the inner thighs towards center, bringing the inner thighs towards one another, pressing gently into the floor as we lift our sacrum, energize through the glutes. Shift your pelvis over to the left and let your knees fall to the right. Maybe you prop yourself up with a pillow underneath the bottom leg. Maybe you gently rest your right hand on top of the leg of the left and just allow for a twist. Dripping down through the tailbone, creating space through the spine, softening of the heart. Let's slowly make our way back in through center. Make sure to use the core. Make sure to draw the knees gently back towards center. Re-center your body. And then shift your body over to the right and turn your knees over to the left. Slowly start to bring yourself back through center. Recenter your body back to the center of your mat. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. Lengthen out the hip. Draw the tailbone down. Maybe your eyes are closed here. Allowing for this quiet contemplation space to come into your body, into your mind. Slowly release the right foot down and then take the left knee in. Softening the belly. Go ahead and set your left foot down. Let's bring ourselves into constructive rest pose with the knees knocked together and the feet wide. And let's just take a moment here to relax into the body. Relax your eyes beneath the lids. Relax the throat. Perhaps you keep your knees knocked together, or maybe you extend your legs, or maybe you rest your knees on top of a pillow as we make our way into our Shavasana. And they say that this is one of the hardest poses in yoga. As this is the time for us to truly connect from within, to allow ourselves to surrender to the universe, to surrender to our mat, to tune in to our inside, our inner truth, our inner wisdom, to be present, to be in a space of being. Allow yourself to see this blue light shining upon you from the crown of your head to the tip of your toes. Allow your body to feel the textures of the air, the eyes to see the inner self. Now maybe you want to stay here a little longer. Maybe you want to start deepening your breath. start to move your body, your fingers and your toes. And I'd like you to either stay where you are or maybe roll onto your favorite side. Maybe just for today, take this opportunity to take this inner knowing with you and tune into the different areas of your day from a space of grounded knowing. Who's taking this feeling with you off the mat. When you're ready, you can slowly make your way up into Sukhasana. Now, the seed sound for Ajna is Om, that universal sound. So I'd like to close today's practice with 3 Oms. And we can practice that with Japa Japa, which is where I say it and then you repeat. Or you can do it A Japa Japa, where you repeat it silently to yourself. And it's a very powerful practice. It really invites that universal vibration, the universal sound. It's pronounced A-U-M, Aum. As time goes on, it sounds like Om, O-M. If you're not comfortable with this, feel free to just simply sit in quiet meditation. I'll begin and we'll do 3 and then we'll close our practice off today. Taking that exhale from the hara space, so breathing deep to the belly, we'll breathe in there and then breathe out from that belly space. As you're ready, sit up tall or lie down, whatever feels best for you. Breathe in. Bringing our hands to our heart center. A gentle bow of our head towards our hands in recognition of the divine light that lives within us all. May your heart always stay warm, and may your smile always stay broad. And may the light that shines in me honor and see the light that shines in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I said, this has been a journey. And this continues to be a journey, and it is a lifelong journey. Remember that we take it each day at a time. Listen to your heart. Be compassionate towards yourself. Give yourself the self-care that you need and deserve. And always listen to that inner voice. It's telling you a lot of information. So thank you all so much for always being there and always for being your bright light. And I wish you a wonderful weekend. Namaste.